All right, you're on live.
A lot of time. A lot more time, what you think? Just preparing everything and doing everything. But it gives me something to do, not that I don't have enough time.
Right.
Keeps me involved. A couple of the tracks treat me really good, so they appreciate it, so that's always good. Don't claim to be good at it. I just come in and do it.
What do you say, fake it till you make it?
Just get it. I figured my looks would get me by on the radio.
You got a
Because
face
nobody
for,
can see ya.
Made for radio.
you got a face made for radio.
Yeah, I figured my looks would get me by. I didn't think I had to do very good talking. Is that the same?
Yeah.
Wayne Circle.
I worked with this one.
I never met her. Well, yeah, I met her.
Because he used to work at JPL.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he used to work at
He said he'd been doing this for like, since like the 60s. He was there, right?
He used to work at JPL.
I mean, he's him, and then there's a guy that's like the station manager, and man, both of them really good on radio. Anything going on
Put
there
you in a
yet?
little short chair.
That's all right. I get up sometimes to move around because my back bothers
Don't
me.
get you off the
I'm
chair.
good. I'm good. I'm good.
That's a good wife right there. You know, tell her.
Oh, she is a good wife. She's one. I don't know where I'd be without her. I'm telling you. She took a chance on a skinny, dorky kid.
She took a chance on a fat and bald-headed guy. What are you
Well,
talking
now
about?
she's that's what she's stuck with now. My dad and mom, man,
And
I'm
we just
telling
go
you,
skinnies.
my dad,
That it ain't happening again.
he let her in charge, man. I'm telling you, my dad was a very private person. When he went to the doctors, he talked to her. He let her have his whole medical thing, and he said she's a power of attorney. You want to talk to her, talk to somebody about my health, you talk to her.
Yep.
She knew everything. She knew everything. Which head, Mac? Mine or Chris's? He said, look at the head on that. I'd say it's you because I'm kind of blocked here a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Look at that picture.
I remember them days. Oh, Mac. Mac Daddy.
We're not even going to see her, Harley. We should put her up here.
Who, me?
Should put it switch
No,
these.
no, 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 no. We're good, thanks.
Which one? All right. Let's see. We got 23 seconds left.
Do we need to find the print on the door?
You don't have to.
Turn your phone here.
I did.
They're not appropriate for me.
They're not appropriate.
And welcome to the On Track with Mike show. I'm your host, Mike Kirshner, live in the flesh. Man, it's nice in here tonight because, I mean, it's hot outside. So we're thankful for the air conditioning here at WRGG 93.7. As always, we want to thank Todd Ward of TA Ward Construction. He's put more money up again this weekend at the Path Valley Speedway, putting $500 up for the 270 microsprints. So they've had a couple pretty good weeks up there with some money, extra money on the line. I'm sure they appreciate Todd for doing that. So if you need anything done to your house, any home improvements, call Todd. He's a local veteran, fully insured. Plenty of photos on the On Track with Mike page and Todd Ward's page of the houses and stuff that he's done. You can call him at 717-331-4974. And also thanks to the WRGG 93.7 FM. 3 ways you can stay in touch. Either the On Track with Mike Facebook page, the WRGG 93.7 on your dial, or the WRGG.org. Go on that website and hit the Listen Live button. And that gives you a direct line into the radio. We got a good guest here tonight, guy I've known for a long time. We'll get to him in a minute here. We got a couple things we got to do first, but we do have Chris Brezler in the studio, and we have his wife Katie too, also here. And they rode their sleigh in, but it was very rough because the snow was melting as quick as they come across it. You know, it's tough shoveling snow when it's 95 degrees. So, I mean, I'm glad the roads was clear enough for us to get in here. Anything going on there, Shirley? I got Shirley run the computer this week.
I see nothing.
Nothing going on yet. Everything's pretty quiet. Everybody's trying to stay. Everybody's trying to watch their P's and Q's because they know that
Santa Claus.
got Santa Claus in here. You gonna? I know you know one of them, Shirley. You know one of them that is on the naughty list. That's Rick Hawson. I hope Santa brings him some stilts so he can reach the supper table. And the only reason I'm saying that is because he made fun of my head. He said I need to get Santa to get me some hair.
You know, we was up at Gettysburg. We seen a pair of stilts up there. We should have brought them back for him.
Yeah. He might have been tall enough to get in a race car one day. I shouldn't talk that way about it. Even if he did have to have 4 phone books when he come on the show. Sit on. Hey, we're equal opportunity here on the show. You know that. We make fun of everybody, and we like everybody to make fun of us. That's just the way we like it. It makes things go better. But I did see tonight on the internet the DJ Troutman Memorial up at the Bedford Speedway. They're going to have a meeting tonight with the Padulas and try to finalize everything. So far, the way they're talking, September the 19th. On Friday will be the mods, the semi-lights, and the 4-cylinders. And then on September 20th, on Saturday, they're going to have the modifieds, late model sportsmen, and pure stocks, with all the special awards that goes along with the DJ Troutman Memorial Race. So keep your eye out for that. We do want to say prayers to Stuart Friesen. I just seen before I come on the air here, they had another update on his health. I'm telling you, fellas,
That was a nasty accident.
He's a very lucky individual. But right now, the man is in a lot of pain. They say he's in stable condition, but serious condition. He has what they call I didn't write it down, Charlie.
It's an open pelvic fracture.
Open pelvic fracture. I'm glad you see. I need help all the time. I didn't write it down. It was too much for me.
He had an open pelvic fracture.
Pelvic fracture, and he has. Let me go live here. I got you. There we go. Now Chris's mic is up. Yeah, pelvic fracture. Yeah, turn up.
Which one?
The one is down.
And it's broken. It's a pelvic fracture which is broken in 2 or more places. And what they say is it's like an open book thing. Like apparently, it must have come from. You think that the pressure would come from the sides of the seat, but apparently the way they're talking, it come from the back. So apparently maybe when the car hit the fuel cell on the wall or something, it put a lot of pressure on his pelvis. And so he's got to have that. He's got a fractured right leg. They said they're moving him to New York for the surgeries now. And that's just the update his wife just put on Facebook there a little bit ago. So prayers to him. He's a good dude. Craftsman Truck Series driver. And big block modified driver. Took a nasty wreck there. Also, get well wishes to Roaring Knob promoter Rick Jones. He had an artery that was, he said, 95% blocked, and they put a stent in, and so hopefully he'll be firing on all 8 cylinders now and on the mend. And I always hate to do this. I did this a couple weeks ago in front of my guests, and I want to, I always like to joke and carry on, but I want to apologize first. So apologize to Katie and Chris because I really don't think you guys need to hear this, but every once in a while I need to vent. And I need to vent. And
You can vent to Santa. It'll be all right.
I can vent to Santa. I don't claim to be perfect. Everybody knows that. I raced. I did things I was ashamed of. I acted ways I shouldn't have acted. But folks, this social media stuff has to stop. It's got to stop. We're making the dirt track racing community look like a bunch of hillbillies. We're never going to keep racetracks open. We're never going to have races. We're never going to get sponsors if we keep all this Facebook drama up. I mean, it's just all the time anymore. And I'm not blaming it all on the drivers and the fans. The track's got to take a step to stop some of this stuff. But, we had some drama this week on the internet, and I read some of it, and some's right, some's wrong, maybe some's in the middle. I don't know. I'm not, like I say, I'm not saying this claiming to be I'm perfect. I'm just saying it because standing out here looking in, you see it more and more at more and more racetracks. And these racetracks are dropping classes. They have negative press from maybe the police, the community, whatever. And then, these people that you want to be race fans get on the internet and read I won't say you guys because there's women and, everybody. But then they see these comments, people arguing back and forth and, calling people names and stuff. And, man, like I say, I'm not going to stand on my soapbox and cast down on everybody, me with no sins or anything. I'm not going to do that. I'm just trying to give you 3 or 4 minutes here on the air on my platform to tell everybody we have to do better. We have to do better, man. This stuff is starting to happen more and more, and it ain't good. It ain't good. We got to go to the races. We got to race. We got to go home mad if we're mad and swallow our pride and go back and race the following week. And it's not always fair. It's not always seemed fair. We've all been to the point where we went home and we was like, man, this sucks. I don't believe the track was right on this one. I don't believe I got treated right. I want to quit. I'm done. But, once cooler heads prevail, it seems like we keep on going because the good times way outweigh the bad ones. But anyways, I apologize, everyone. Like I say, once again, I'm not trying to be Mr. Innocent, that I've never, acted like an idiot at the racetrack or anything. But, we need to do better. We need to do better. Or these tracks and these classes are going to, there's already tracks on the internet right now, major racetracks that are dropping divisions right and left and closing their doors because of issues, because people don't want to go no more. People don't want to, the neighbors don't want to hear it, whatever may be the factor. There's major, I just read about a track here today that's having really bad issues, dropping divisions, and just, it was a track, it was a thriving track at one time. But anyway, we're going to move on now. We're going to go to Happy Christmas Land. But I apologize to Chris and Katie. I don't like to go in rants when I have guests on the show because I don't like people to see that racing in that situation, I guess you'd say. But anyway.
Todd Ward says it's awesome that Santa's in the studio tonight. Yes, it is, Todd, and you better be watching yourself because he's keeping an eye on you. Brandon Churchy.
Here, why don't we do this? Hold on once.
Brandon Churchy says hello from Clinton County Speedway.
Oh, he's there probably there with the limiteds.
Doug Schatzer says God only made a few perfect.
Do you want the mic or not? I know your mouth's big, but put the mic up there.
The rest he covered with hair.
See what I get, Chris, for trying to be nice? There we go. Now everybody should have a mic.
Now everybody's got a mic.
Yeah, even Mike's got a mic.
Kathy Stevens says hi, Chris, Katie, and Mike. Carolyn Coots says, hey, Chris and Katie.
Man, you're popular already.
Crystal Sprecher, hello, Shirley and everyone. Hi, Crystal.
Everybody's on good behavior for Santa.
That's it,
That's what it is.
Crystal Sprecher says, hi, Jeff Kirshner. Well, Jeff Kirshner's not here, so.
Maybe she called me Jeff, probably.
Please don't call him Jeff.
Ooh, I don't know. I've known you both for a long time. I don't know if that was good or bad right there.
That's not good. That's not
No
good.
comment. But no, we're glad to have Chris here on the show. We got a lot to talk about. He's got a lot of stories and a lot of PG rated stories and stuff. But I met Chris probably back in '84, somewhere around there, through a mutual friend. He was neighbors with a mutual friend, and I've known him since then. And since then, he's ran 4-cylinders. And what was the other cars he ran? Was they Enduros, or was they
actually
like grocery getters?
When I was doing high school, I graduated in '86, so I guess it was '85. Hagerstown Speedway used to have the Enduro race where it's pretty much run what you brung, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, it's take the glass and plastic off and chain the doors shut and see if you can make 200 laps around the speedway.
And that was some of the first couple.
Yes. They started 200 cars. I started 169th one time. I finished 10th. That was actually my best finish.
Yeah, that was when the Enduro races first started. They was unheard of before then. Hagerstown would have one. Winchester would have one. I seen Winchester before when they went green.
It was all the way around
the cars in the back was on the bumper of the guys in the front was on the bumpers of the guys in the back. And it was amazing to see.
And we talk about scoring now. Actually, I was telling somebody else, just last week, my mom passed away, but back then, you had to get your own score, and there was a flop clock that flopped every second. And there was a whole section of scores, and they had to count when your car come by. And I don't think Mom was too happy about me racing, but a couple of times I was able to finish and get a good finish because guys were saying they were running 20-second laps back then in an Enduro car.
20-second laps?
And they're like, yeah, that ain't happening. And they would check your scorecard. And by God, my mom never missed one. She made sure everything was right.
Them guys was getting a little couple of added laps on
they ran a few, a wishful lap in there.
But this is back when the Enduros was scary. I mean,
yes,
those guys, there'd be like a guy sitting on the front stretch in his car with something broke, the motor not running, and he would be sitting there with a lap belt on, just cringing every time a car went by about 50 miles an hour.
I was hit by a car with no driver in one of those races. Used to be they would throw a yellow flag or a red flag. It was only red flags or green. That was it. And my car had broke. I was on the inside of the guardrail, and there was a car sitting high, I think in turn 4. And some guy lost control, hit it, broke the park gear in it, and I look around and I see a car with no driver coming at me, and I got hit by a car with no driver.
Yeah, they were rough and tumble back then. I mean, I sit in the stands before and watch people sit in cars for laps and laps.
That was the scariest part of them.
You're just like, man, I'd hate to be that dude. I'd jump out and crawl over the guardrail or something.
Like I say, your dad actually helped me get started on my very first car I ever took laps at the Speedway.
I remember that. I don't remember where the cars came from.
I bought a 72 Plymouth Satellite.
I know one. They both was Chrysler products.
No,
right?
The other one was a Pontiac that Greg had. Greg Bowers. He run with us.
I couldn't remember his name.
51 and 52, and we didn't have any paint. Your dad had Gould's green pump paint from the water pumps, so that our cars were Gould's green water pump.
And Sean Bingaman
lettered them.
Yeah.
Lettered them up, and dude, I was racing. I was racing. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah. I remember that. We didn't know what we was doing.
We didn't know what we was doing, but your dad went through and took care and made sure that our cars were up there. They got towed there, you know.
Didn't he have some guy down there in Falling Waters paint them?
Somebody painted them.
There's a guy in Falling Waters used to have a body shop.
And then he had somebody make us rake front wheels that were reinforced because that was one of the things. The rake front wheels would just rip off of them back then.
I don't remember that.
And your dad had a guy, and he come up with this little thing where he designed these little weld things on it and welded them up. We never lost a wheel after that.
I don't remember that.
Brian Jones says, hey, everyone, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, it is closer to next Christmas than it is last Christmas.
It's
less than 150 days already.
And Crystal Sprecher said, what's Katie going to do in her spare time since there's no high school sports?
She going to make toys.
Yeah, both our boys are graduated now, so...
Man, that went fast, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that, you know, my parents told me, and you hear from a lot of people. They say the older you get, the faster it goes. And by golly, they was right.
It seemed like I just seen photos on your Facebook of like them shooting a deer or something, and they was like 7 years old or something.
Brandon Churchy says nothing beats the time Santa drove the race car home from the track. with the spotlight. He knows what I'm talking about. Okay.
Well, Brandon was a young lad back then.
Young lad.
Like I say, we couldn't load the old Granada I had the one time we were driving, and we couldn't get it on the trailer, and I forget what else was going on. And I said, to heck with it. I took off out of the speedway with the car. After the
You're not
races.
the first person to do that.
Brian Jones's Monte Carlo wheels.
Yep, the ones you would get and reinforce them.
Them old cars was ugly too, wasn't they?
Hey,
Big old
we didn't
cars.
care. We were racing.
Yeah, I know.
I bought a car off a guy one time he had for his wife in one of the Enduros. It was pink. Never painted it. Put a number on it and ran it. I didn't care. I couldn't see it from the inside.
And the funniest story I remember, one of them was Dad had his truck in the pits because I guess he towed one of the cars or something. I can't remember. And I remember it was a truck, burgundy, had burgundy toolboxes on it, said Kirshner's water pump service.
Had truck
on the
one
toolbox.
on the tag.
Truck, yeah, truck. Well,
Or truck two.
Truck two. And I'll never forget, some guy come over and wanted to know if he had a water pump for like an Impala or something. And he's like, I don't sell water pumps for cars. Guy's like, oh, okay, man. I seen water pump on your truck. He said, I needed a water pump for my, like it went out mid-race and he was going to put a water pump on it.
Right.
And I never forgot that.
I tell you what, your dad was a large stature guy. And I'll never forget being out at your house. And it might have been when we was working
I don't
on the
remember this
cars.
story either.
And I was backing up, had my dad's truck, and I backed into your dad's brand new truck, still had temporary tags on it. And I backed into it. I mean, pretty good shot.
See, I don't remember this, Shirley.
And I remember I had to go in and tell your dad. And like I say, your dad was never a person who was loud or anything.
No.
But he was a big man. And I remember going in and telling Mr. Kirshner I backed into his truck. And he come out and looks at the truck, looks over at me, and he's like, well, son, I guess we're going to figure out how car insurance works now, don't we? Never got mad. Never got mad.
He was one of the most.
He was.
Yeah,
and,
it was something.
And still, it's just, as a kid, you're so scared.
Yeah.
And like I say, your dad's just like, well, we'll figure it out.
I don't know how he got that way, but I mean, he was that way with racing too. If we won, he was sitting in the passenger seat with a big smile on his face. If we didn't win, he was sitting on the passenger seat with a big smile on his face, and all he wanted to know was where he was going to stop and eat on the way home.
Well, that doesn't make a bad man.
No, because it's not about eating. It was about spending
Sitting
time
down,
together,
yep.
sitting down, enjoying the evening. That's what it was about. It wasn't about, starving to death. It was just...
I know many a times coming out, visiting with you and your brother or something, and your mom and dad always welcomed me into the house and stuff.
My mother, she's never met a stranger.
No.
You know that.
That's
she
the
gave me a-
Italian that comes out of her.
She gave me a few pointers times or two. And
Oh, she will. She will.
Trying to set me on the straight and narrow
She'll
path.
tell you when you're doing wrong and when you need to do. Yeah, she will.
Well, I
and
think
I'm
she
proud
would-
of that. I mean, I used to, there was a time where I got not disgusted, but I'd get like, oh, Mom, quit it, But now I'm older. I understand.
Yes. I think your mom
she
would
was
be
doing.
happy that I ended up marrying a pastor's daughter. So
Yeah, you took all that advice
I took
to
that
heart.
advice. I didn't know I was getting advice back then.
The thing is, though, is the pastor happy?
He was. I remember asking. Her dad was a big fella too. I'm not a small guy by any means, but her dad towered me just like your dad did. And I remember having to ask him for his daughter's hand. Hey, can I marry your daughter? And he looked at me and he said, well, there's no bringing it back once you start, right? There's no return policy and everything.
At least yours didn't have a machete.
But he was, like I say, her dad. The big joke was I was the favorite son-in-law. Might have been the only son-in-law, but that was easy to keep the favorite, though.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. My father-in-law used to tell me that. He'd say, Shirley's my favorite daughter-in-law. And I said, yeah, it's because I'm your only daughter-in-law.
That was back
At the
before.
time.
That was back when he only had one.
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
always say that. But yeah, I mean, I remember your dad. I don't remember much interaction with him, but I remember going to your house and seeing him, and he was into a lot of the older stuff, and very, very knowledgeable on.
He was
all
a
that
mechanic his
stuff.
whole life. He was in the military for 12 years, served in the Air Force. I remember one time I asked him, I'm like, Dad, you had 12 years in. Why'd you get out? He's like, I was in Korea and I wasn't going to Vietnam. But
Didn't he have like a big fancy mustache?
he had the handlebar mustache.
Yeah, I
and
remember
they called
that.
him Captain Crunch.
I remember that.
Was his nickname.
Because when you see somebody like that when you're young, you're like, holy crap. Like, you know what I mean? Like you was. You're kind of like intimidated because this dude looks like he's a drone instructor, you know?
I remember my dad, you know, like I say, your dad helped me make sure I had the car, but my dad would go over and old school mechanic, you know, they were tuning by ear.
Oh, yeah.
You know, doing all that stuff. Never, I get a time. I thought it was neat. I bought this timing like one time. I'm going to have on. Dad's like, I don't want that crap. And he would tune stuff up and some of them enduro cars.
Advance it till it pings and then back it up a little bit.
I watched him one time. I bought an old motor off a guy. I wanted to go racing. It would barely run. It was all carboned up. My dad told me to go in and get a cup of warm water. I'm like, okay. I went up and got a cup of warm water, and he opened that throttle by halfway up and would dump a little of that right down through the carburetor, and it broke all the carbon that was caked up on all the valves. And
Really?
everything. Man, that thing run like twice as good. I mean, he said, you got to remember that. And he knew all this stuff.
Well, the older generation did.
Yeah.
My grandpap wasn't a mechanic, but he told me about him and my mother rebuilding an engine in the driveway, and he was talking about, I don't know whether he was talking about like polishing a crank, talking about something to do with leather, and the only thing I could think of was maybe put around the crank.
Strapping, yep.
Yeah, but my mom and him would talk about something to do with like a leather, piece of leather or something, and like he wasn't no mechanic by no means, but man, whenever you was back in that day, I mean, you had a vehicle breakdown, you didn't have no choice.
You didn't have choice.
And he'd say, man, I put that thing back together. It used 3 quarts of oil a day, but it got
ran.
But it got me from here to there. Yeah. They didn't care about the rings. They didn't care about nothing.
I remember me and the boys. We got an old John Deere tractor that was totally locked up. I mean, you couldn't take a sledgehammer and drive the piston. We finally got them all out, and I showed my boys how to lap valves by hand and everything. You know, like we were taught, doing stuff, and put this old John Deere tractor back together. And if you'd have heard the boys cheering when it fired off and started making smoke, you know, because they had sweat equity in it, which you don't see a lot now. But it was so cool. And I know my dad before would be at the garage laughing at me when I'm working on something, and I'd be mad. And he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, them boys lost something. And he started laughing. I said, what's so funny? He said, if they lose half as much stuff as you lost as mine, it'll be worth it.
You know, and you bring out, I know we're going way off topic, which this show always goes off topic. But I know what you're saying, because I get frustrated. I spend a week cleaning the garage, and then Cody comes in and slings stuff everywhere. And you know, then I think about my dad.
What we did to our dad.
You know, he'd have to, you know, hammer out in the yard land, and you know, and
he found when he run the mower over it. That was always nice.
And he never said a word, never complained about nothing. And it's just amazing. Then I get frustrated about the stupidest stuff. And
yep.
But you know, like I said, whenever he passed away, the speech at his funeral, I said, you know, I strive to be like him, because, man, if you can take things the way he did, it's like I know his health wasn't the best, but he would have had to die 20 years earlier if he would stress over things the way I do. Because I mean, he just took everything just like a grain of salt. Like I
remember we went out one time, and I think he had the grandkids out at where was Mason working at the time? The studio where they had the trampolines and everything.
Sky
Zone.
Yeah.
And there was your mom and dad out there. Sure enough, Chris, how you been? You know, sat and talked to me and everything. Had the grandkids out, just as proud watching the grandkids.
His deal was sitting in the truck. He'd go anywhere they wanted to go, as long as he could either have the heater on, the window open, or the air conditioner on. And he'd sit in that truck. It didn't matter if it was 3 hours. If mom took the grandkids or mom had to go to a store or whatever, Dad sit in the parking lot and watch cars, watch people, and that's what he was happy just sitting there.
He actually came in that day. I think it was. I think it was a birthday party. So he was in. That's why he came in.
Yeah. But so you got your start in enduro.
Yes.
You say that the Klein car, the '69 car, was that an enduro? Was that like a
no? That was a pure stock. I started helping Randy. The very first one I think we ever built was a yellow Torino.
I don't remember that one.
that we built with help from Bernie Lasky, sponsors and everything else. Down with Bud. Bud, well, back in the day, Bud had car. Dave Kretzer, I think, was a gentleman drove for him, drove 17K. And then when we started doing this enduro stuff and everything, and Randy built a pier stock. Built the Torino, then moved up to a Granada, then we built a Thunderbird body. I say we, they built it. I was part of the crew.
He was holding a screwdriver.
Me and Billy Klein and all, but we all worked there, and that was the thing back then too. A lot of the kids nowadays don't know what to get into, but we were always in the garage. And then when Randy built the Torino or the Granada, next year built that Thunderbird, and he had the Granada as an extra one, so they let me start driving the Granada to go through. And Bud Klein, like I say, he helped me so much, and getting would always, if you were up there and you were helping, he took care of everyone too. And the Klein family always treated me like one of their own. Bud a lot of times would call me his adopted kid. And he said, "Yeah, that's the adopted one from up the street."
He must have been hard up.
Yeah, he was. I guess he needed an extra elf, But yeah, started doing that way, and then run the 4 cylinders.
How'd you get into them? That was right before my time.
Yeah, I think we built one. Randy's wife at the time, we built one for her to run, and Brandon Churchy's mom drove it a couple times.
Really?
Actually, yes, she drove it a couple times, and then I drove it for a while, and that's back when I had first met Katie, my wife, and
that yellow.
And she didn't run away.
I don't know. Maybe I had a little more hair back then. I'm not really sure, but I remember we painted this thing.
It had to be the Pinto that turned.
Yeah, it was a yellow Pinto. We didn't realize it. We picked up some kind of paint. We didn't care. And here it was safety yellow orange that the state highway used. And we backed that thing outside. It's like, oh my God, we got to put something on top of that. And Dave Loss come down the letter.
Yeah.
He said that thing looks like a nuclear banana.
He makes everything look good.
He does.
But I did the same thing. My car was green for 2 or 3 years. Cody's car was green for a year or two, until the body shop guy made me quit using it. I found 5 gallons of paint for Chinese man lifts up at Grove, and it was like a bright green color. And I went to my supervisor. I said, what's that can of paint doing? Holding the door open. I said, was there any way I can buy that off the company or whatever? So let me check. So he went down to like the salvage dude or whatever and got me this ticket thing, and he said, hey, it's probably no good. You can have the whole bucket. Matter of fact, everybody gonna think I'm a liar. I still have the bucket in one of my cupboards. But we painted every race car we owned with that green paint, and I don't know what it was, but I never forget the body shop. We, would go to body shop people. Like a couple years, I went to.
Neil?
No, we went to Neil, but we went to. Ain't that a shame? Lee Osborne. He let me use his paint booth a couple times and all. Well, anyway, we went to Neil's, and I had a guy. I would always get a buddy that knew how to spray. Not that it was a professional job or anything, but I didn't know what I was doing, so. One of my friends would come in with a spray gun and I'll spray it for you. The last time he's like, man, I don't know what's in that paint. He says, but I can't let you use my paint booth no more. He says, I can't get it off the walls. He said, my walls is... He was painting a buddy of mine's car a few months ago, and my buddy said, won't you come in the body shop? I want you to see it. So I went in to see it because they was in the middle of like doing this whole restoration thing. And I went in and I was like, hey, it was an all new paint booth and everything. And the old paint booth was like across the parking lot. I said, hey, is your wall still green? And he didn't he didn't know what I was talking about. I said, don't you remember them green walls from that race car? And he's like, oh, yeah. He said, man, that stuff, he said, I ain't never seen, we don't know what, it was just industrial,
right?
Chinese, but like you said, you grab whatever you
it
get
didn't
a hold
matter.
of. And, I still got some of it. I know it's no good anymore, but it's been in a cupboard that's just been, in there for years.
Well, it's like some of the things now, that you do, and you look at some of the stuff we raced, like, good Lord, why did we go out there with that stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about on the show lots of times, back when I was racing, you wore the foam neck collars.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody's wearing Hans devices and full containment seats. I mean, we raced for years with a foam neck collar velcroed around our neck, and that was like we was being we was being safe.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you just.
But when you race, cars got faster now.
Oh, thank you.
You race back in.
Plus, they got air-filled tires now too. I was running stone wheels.
Yeah.
I'm not that
Pedaling
freaking
with your
old.
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put a big rib on the side of it and it rolled over.
Did Dino to pop his head out the top?
Yeah. But yeah, we just we were just happy being there.
Yeah, like I say, we got to the point there where run the 4 cylinders, and then Katie started, like I say, me and her started dating, and then we actually found out she had cancer.
Wow.
At 19 years old. So that's why I originally got out of racing for a good while.
And back then, that was probably really rare.
It was a scary time, but we got through it and everything. And then I started actually going up and became an official at the Speedway. I was a track official for probably 5 or 6 years up there working with Eddie Cornett and stuff and doing some things.
I think I
don't know.
remember that.
Maybe I cheated enough that they figured I could find what the other guys were cheating with. I don't know. But then it wasn't too much longer. She come home. Graham wasn't even 5 years old yet. Found the first quarter midget in the garage.
That's trouble there.
That was trouble.
Not
I think
that the quarter midgets is trouble.
I think
it's just
the quarter midget was better than the Harley I bought at that time. And she found in the garage.
better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
It's easier.
My wife had that happen. Shirley, tell him about it. You had that happen.
What?
She come home from work and a race car was at the house.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He had got rid of one race car, and I come home and there was another one there.
Yeah, one of my son's old race cars come up for sale, and I was wheeling and dealing with the guy, and Cody's like, "Let's go get it, Dad," and I'm just like, "All right." So then Shirley comes home from work, and where did you get that at?
Yeah.
But she didn't. She's never been the type to complain too much. No, I mean, she don't care what I do as long as I'm not doing anything I shouldn't be doing.
Well, you know, and I think that's the thing too. Someone I think mentioned to Katie one time.
He could be doing worse.
Your husband's always out working on them cars and doing all that stuff. She said, "Well, he's not out in the bar. I know where he's at. He's down in the garage."
And you think about it, you know, and this is going to something I went through, but you think about every racer going through it. You know, my car wasn't at my house, so every night I would go to the shop and work till 10 o'clock at night or so, you know, and then come home. And I never really thought, I mean, my kids love me. I think they do. You know, I thought I've been a good dad and everything. But I just remember the times that, you know, I'm going down the driveway and my son or daughter standing in the front yard with a ball. And I know it sounds like a horrible dad, but I mean, you think about all us racers do that. We've all had those, you know.
Back when the night I actually met Katie, I was down at Klines working on the race car. We had a regular night. I can't remember, Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that we all showed up and we worked on the car. And luckily, if you had a good week, it didn't take very long.
Yeah.
Some weeks took a little longer. But we had worked on the race cars, and I came home, and my cousin actually worked with her at the bank. And he's like, "You got to come down and meet us and everything," because the girl that was down there, he was going out with her or something, and Katie was like the third wheel, so he needed somebody else. And he's like, I'm like, "I'm tired. I'm not coming down." He's like, "Oh, man, you got to." And went down. And
I ain't got time for women.
Exactly, you know. And I think the funniest thing about it, after that, I guess they say the rest is history.
Yeah. But it was different times back then. I mean, it just was, you know, it's something I kind of miss a little bit. I know you probably do too. It's like, it's not the same anymore.
I don't know what drugs are, but I've never had anything better than being in that race car and going down.
I know.
I don't know what it is.
I know. And then just the fact of going to the shop and having a couple people there. Like, your
circle might be small, but it's fun.
You're joking back and forth, and the stuff gets done in the car quicker than what you believe because you're not sitting there by yourself just,
right.
You know, listening to the clock tick.
Having fun making memories.
It is.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff, well, I remember the one I was telling you about earlier. We were talking about different things that's happened at the track. And the one night we were up at the Speedway, and I can't remember who all was running, but of course we were there running that night. And Frank Saggy was still the official, or still the announcer, excuse me. And I'm not going to say how it happened, but we ended up with a few watermelons that had some additives in them. They were high-octane watermelons, shall we say.
They wasn't teching for that, was they?
They wasn't teching that night. They wasn't teching the watermelons that night.
That and the cherries.
Yeah, and then the cherries were high-octane also. So they decided to take a plate of them up to Frank. So we take we didn't. I didn't have nothing in it. I didn't take it up there. I was racing.
He's innocent.
I'm innocent. But made sure that it made it up to Frank in the announcer's booth. It was a hot night, like middle of summer. So Frank was like, "Oh, man, thanks for bringing this up here." Well, he ate all that stuff. And I guess it was probably towards the end of the night, the last feature. And I think you said Frank was up there. And
He was like, "Here they come," and there they go. There was no car numbers, no driver names, no turns. It was, here they come, and there they go.
He was like, "When's this going to get over?"
So the funny thing is, we got done that night, and the next day we're down at Klines. We're down at Klines working, and here come Frank through the door. And Frank looked at me and Randy and Bill, and he's like, "They're going to arrest all of you." I'm like, "Frank, what are you talking about?" He says, "I'm telling you right now." He said, "Humane Society's coming. All of you are going to be arrested." And I'm like, "Frank, what are you talking about?" He said, "You guys threw them watermelon rinds out up there." He said, "There's about 10 crows up there can't even fly. They're just flopping around in the infield."
Oh, my. I can hear him saying that.
Because Frank always had a story. That's another thing, too, that we missed. And I remember Graham was 5 years old. He just started driving quarter midgets. And Frank would, if you were a racer, you were a racer. It didn't matter what you raced. Didn't matter what division.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't matter what. You was a racer. So he decided he was going to interview Graham. And Graham starts getting the interview, and Mason walks up, and Graham's shoving him away. Like, "Who's that?" He said, "That's my brother. He don't race yet." But, Frank made everyone feel, and Frank told me many a times, I've told other people, I never had a lot of success at racing. If you want to count the wins and the finishes and stuff. But I would not give it up for anything in the world. I had so much fun. Like you said, made so many memories. And I remember one time I was, after the race, wasn't happy with how things went, things of that sorts. And Frank was talking to me, and Frank goes, "What's wrong with you?" Of course, you're telling him how bad it is and all this kind of stuff. It was like intermission, I think, and he said, "Turn around," and he looked up the grandstands, and back in, you had a crowd full of people.
Oh, yeah.
And looked up there, and Frank goes, "Any one of them people would come out and drive that car anytime you want them." So he says, "You need to think about that." And Frank understood that. Frank understood what it was just to be a dirt track guy. No matter where you were at, where you were running, you were still a racer.
Yeah, I remember Alan always told a story like that. When he comes on the show, he said something about I don't think he was making fun, but he was laughing at a guy's car or something, run around in the back, maybe smoking, maybe beat up, maybe, spray bomb, whatever. And he's going, "Look at that guy, look at that piece of junk." And his dad, put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Alan," said, "that man is doing the best with what he can afford to do. And, he's doing the same as that guy up front. He's just in a different league. He's doing something differently." And he says and like Alan said, that stuck with him for a long time.
It did me too. His dad, like you say, his dad that day, he said, "Any one of the people up there come down and drive this car for you."
Well, you don't think about that.
You don't. You lose sight of that. And I think that's one of the things that made Frank so great at what he did is he understood the guy that won the race, and he understood the guy that ran 24.
And Chris, we've all been guilty of it. We all put pressure on ourselves to try to be the best. You want to leave that evening being proud that you finished, here or there. You want to it ain't about the trophy. It ain't about the money. It's just about the self-satisfaction. And
Having fun.
yeah, and well,
I think we forget to sometimes.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too. You took the fun out of it and you made it a job. You made it where made yourself miserable because you was not happy because, on that restart, I could have made a different move and I could have gained 2 spots and finished 2. You're racing for freaking $100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
$25.
You know,
I made an extra $10 because I, took off the side of my car getting up there.
Yeah. So I mean, we've. I don't say we all, but I know a lot of people that, like I was telling you when I bought that race car back. I told her, I said, you know what? I'm gonna get in this race car. I'm gonna have fun, and just who gives a crap. By the 3rd race, I was done competitive again. I wanted to win. I wanted to run up front. I wanted, and it's like that's not what I wanted. I wanted it to be. But you put so much, effort into it.
I think that's racer comes out in all of us though, because I mean, even like with Graham, we got out of the quarter midgets and stuff, and the boys got older and bigger. So we put this car together. We built a drag car out of this old Crown Vic. And then it's like, well, Dad, now I want to see if I can make 100 mile an hour. Now, it's that next step. And I think we all have that as a racer. You want to get to the next thing. And if you don't have that desire, I think, you're not really, all of us want to get there. And, then we started building a car that's going to go a little bit faster down at the drag strip. And then this Crown Vic series come up, and we actually got a chance to run the Crown Vic series there.
So it's not the same car?
It is the same car we were drag racing.
Oh, it is?
It is.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It is.
So you was drag racing this Crown Vic.
We were drag racing this Crown Vic.
Bracket racing this Crown Vic.
We were bracket racing. We were in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Delaware doing this.
Really?
It's called East Coast Impala Racing Series, where it's all Impalas mainly. But they're like, hey, if you guys want to come over, we just want to have fun.
So all these Chevy guys.
And we were the
come on over.
And they really hated us because it was a totally bone stock car. And these guys got some money wrapped up in them. But if you're bracket racing, drag racing,
it don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And
you got to stay on your time.
You got a 12-second guy here, and we're running a 16 flat. 4 seconds, that car's going down there. I don't know how many times,
They would scratch.
We were going to call Graham Mr. Jinx because people were red lighting and braking and everything else. But he wanted to try. He said, I've never tried the big track. And I thank Lisa and Hagerstown Speedway for bringing, these Crown Vics up there.
The Crown Vics made their first appearance at the Hagerstown Speedway. And your son made his first appearance behind the wheel of a dirt track car. Well,
yes.
Besides
at the big track.
Yeah, at the big track. So that's pretty cool because they was supposed to be there a couple months prior, but some rain outs and stuff. So would you all been ready for them?
Nope, we wouldn't have been ready for that one.
So the initial voyage of the Crown Vics, and you guys timed it just right to be a part of it.
It brought back some memories at 9:30 at night, the night before the race. You're down in the garage still working stuff together.
Carolyn Kuntz said it kept your boys out of trouble.
It did.
It does, yeah. I knew where mine was all the time.
With Carolyn, Dickie and Keith and Kevin and all them, they helped us out so much at quarter midgets. And that was the thing, too, with the family over there. And so many of the kids that ran quarter midgets, Keith and Kevin drive, the Pipers are up there. I think Tori's doing something up around Bedford. I know she's got a lettering thing up there now. There's just so many of these kids. Crowd.
Trayton Lee.
Kyle Lee. All them guys.
Gunner Walls.
Yeah, the Walls. I don't know how many. So many people come from out of these quarter midget classes.
A lot of them has the last few years it's been a lot.
Yes. There
for a while it seemed like it was very slow, like Justin Weaver, and then there was just a few guys. But now it's like a landslide of people coming out of the quarter midget class to come over. And what did your boy think? I mean,
well, he found out how far was too far a couple times when we spun out.
That track can be very intimidating. And
he said, "Man, that straightaway is longer than you think it is."
But it's not. It's not the straightaways though. I mean, I don't know what you thought, but Hagerstown Speedway is one of the hardest tracks to race. It's just the design of it. There's a handful of guys that are really, really good at it, and there's other guys that are trying to be good at it. And I watch them. I know, I'm not going to name names, but I know the ones that run it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
and they're very successful at it. And I've tried it, and I just was never.
It's funny if you've ever been on Winchester or Bedford or something, and then you go to Hagerstown, it is like night and day.
It is.
There is no comparison. Even when I run some enduro cars and would be up the Hill Valley and some of them little places that you would go to, and go to Hagerstown. Even their quarter midget track. I remember we were down at Bobby Labonte's track in North Carolina running quarter midgets, and a couple people was like, "Where are you from?" And like, "We're from Hagerstown." They're like, "Oh, you guys run on dirt."
And that was a struggle. To switch from dirt to asphalt.
Yeah, a lot of guys is doing that now too. A lot of kids.
It was hard. It was hard. We had a terrible time down there.
But I tell you what, it's back to racing again. Those people didn't know us from Adam.
But everybody's hopping in to help.
And everybody, hey, do this, do this, do this. And I remember Mason, he dove into the turn. And, of course, we were pretty slow because we're trying to catch up on this asphalt stuff. And he held his line, and a kid went on the inside and one on the outside. And, like, Richard Petty's grandson was there, and Tony Stewart had cars there, Michael Waltrip. And a couple of them come up, and they looked at Mason, and I thought, uh-oh, here we go. And they're like, you're doing really good. You held your line. Let's help you get faster.
Really?
Because they said we've had people come down and the kids just kind of get scared or something. They said, but if you can hold your line, we can.
We've got to understand too. Not that these kids are immature by any means, but some of these kids are kids. I mean,
you're taking them to the track in a booster seat.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, they're in the booster seat because they're 9 years old.
I mean,
they're in a booster seat. They're in kindergarten.
We take them out of a car seat and strap them into a race car.
You need a quick disconnect. You just. They'd be sitting in the car seat in the quarter midget and then put them back in the car. But no, I mean, you don't. I think they're so good that you don't think about that.
Yeah.
You see one like upset, maybe mad, maybe crying a little bit, and you're like, man, don't worry about it. But you don't understand. They're 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. It's like that's a big emotional roller coaster for.
And it's tough for the parents too. It's tough to. And I think that the statement she just said, I had somebody tell me that one time at the track. Like, you're bringing them here in a car seat, putting them in a race car. So run that through your head a couple times.
Have a little grace.
And some of them guys, people
have
come.
A little grace.
I've seen some of them people come in up there, not our locals, but some of the non-locals for the big shows come in big giant trailers, eight or 10 quarter midgets.
Oh, yeah.
And kids walking around with like the best helmets, the best fire suits money can buy, and you're just
racks and racks.
Yeah,
and
you're like,
tires,
holy.
still got the plastic on them.
When we went down to Bobby Labonte's track down there in North Carolina, man, was that an eye.
They had more in tires than we had in a motor.
You feel like you're, yeah. We did that. We went to Gaffney one year it was 12,000 to win force on the race, and we was winning a bunch of races up around here. So we thought we're gonna go to Gaffney. Mm-hmm. Well, we went down there. And Danny Licklater, you remember him, he won a lot of races at Winchester. He was running my brother's car. Well, some dude come down the backstretch. Danny was winning a lot of races back then. Some dude come down the backstretch and passed Danny with a button-up T-shirt on while he's repositioning himself in the seat because the belts was loose, running the stock class. I looked at them, I said, let's go to the junkyard and get some stock manifolds put on this thing. But, it was like, when you went down there, you went back in time, but then people just, like, the different atmosphere made it tough for you to compete because, like, I'm sure the next year, if we'd have went 2 years, we'd have knowed more. But, like, just for one quick story, they had a weight rule on the flywheel. So their weight rule was like 19, 20 pounds. So up here, you're allowed to run like 12 or something like that. So we put this big, stock 19-pound flywheel in the car before we went down. We go out for qualifying and we suck. And I'm just like, man, what are we going to do? We had a bunch of weight on the car. Troy was with me. She can tell you, we stayed in a motel rather than staying at the track like the guys did. We're going down the road, passing all these motels. Everybody's cars on jack stands. They're taking these racing clutches out and putting the heavy ones back in. And I'm like, here they knew that they didn't check clutches in qualifying. We didn't know that.
Right.
And then they had you had to weigh pound per cc for your motor size. So we had a 2600. We had 2,600 pounds on the car. And one of the guys that had a Dodge like we had walked up and was talking to us. I said, man, that weight is killing us. He goes, well, you know, what do you guys run where you're at? And I tell him everything. He goes, well, he says, 2,500 ain't that bad. I said, what do you mean 2,500? He goes, well, it's 2,500 max. And I'm like, it is? I said, we got 2,600 pounds on the car. It just, I mean, it's stuff that is not written in the rules. And I'm sure that you guys going down to that track down there, not that them people was cheating.
No.
But there's
You know where the advantages are.
There's things that they do
Well,
that you guys didn't.
For us,
No.
up here, now don't get me wrong, they take great care of that track. But to go down there, if you belong to that club down there, you had a key to the track.
What?
You could go up, unlock
And
it,
practice.
blow the track off because now it's asphalt or concrete.
Yeah.
So you blow it off, you run it. When you're done, you blow it back off. You put the blowers away and you lock everything up. If you belong to that club, you can go practice any night you wanted to.
Yeah, but see, I heard that the Hagerstown quarter midge track, you can't even practice on it.
Well, you don't because it's got to be prepped.
Well, no, they
Interesting.
said that it's like a sanctioned track, and like there's some kind of rules against.
They do have practices. Well, and of course, I'm speaking from years ago, so a lot of that may have changed too. So.
Yeah, because I was
think
talking.
they're USAC now,
Yeah, because we were originally with can't remember who it was, and then they went to USAC.
Blue
And,
one.
That's
No.
really.
yeah,
You got anything?
but
Carolyn Cooch says, old days, Billy Klein, it's called gray area.
Gray area. It wasn't even a gray area. It was just, I don't know,
A void.
unwritten. You know, the locals knew what the deal was, and if you was outside, you didn't know.
But yeah, one of the things we said we were going to talk about earlier too is how I got into doing Santa Claus stuff too.
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Yeah, I'm looking
I was
at
looking at the clock, and I was like, I got to give him enough time to talk about Bud Klein and talk about everything. So how did you feel when you was a little kid and you would go up to his house and see this guy that you knew with this big white beard and this red suit on? I mean, would you?
So when we moved up to the West End, we moved in right up the street from Bud on Florida Avenue.
Yeah.
That was 1978. I was 10 years old. And I was already into racing by then, before that time, because one of the pictures I sent you that you posted is Richard Petty with his hands on my shoulders when I was a little kid. I'm that little kid in that picture that you posted up earlier. His aunt used to live on Chestnut Street before she moved up to Clear Spring.
I've heard that.
So
I heard he would come down to see her.
every
or
time
come up to see
between,
her.
he would stop between the Pocono race going back down to the Firecracker 400. And I can remember Miss Linda, his wife. We would have a cookout there with Miss Petty. And like Miss Petty's house, the grandfather clock was a Martinsville clock that was in there. You didn't appreciate it back then.
But you probably didn't think twice
know about it. But you would have a
because you
picnic
didn't have a lot of TV back then.
Nope.
So
this would have been 75, 76.
He wasn't this larger than life character that
He was,
you know.
he was another guy that would stop by and sign autographs for us, and we'd have hamburgers and hot dogs. And Kyle Petty, I got a couple pictures of Kyle Petty. I got to get them and give them to you to put out there of him being a teenager with the hair like going all over the place and everything. No, you know. So I started that, and then when we moved away from there, we moved up to the West End, and here I moved in down the street from Santa Claus. And it was at first, you know, you didn't really know how to do that or anything, but like I say, the family.
You walked in the garage, you was like, Dad, how'd you get here?
It was so cool that the family let me be part of their family too, because you know, Christmas time was. I mean, Bud was Santa Claus for 57 years.
I say as long as I can remember.
57 years he played Santa.
See, I wouldn't be long as I can remember.
Longer than me and you either can remember.
Yeah.
But watching him at Christmas time, you know, different people, and Randy would be in the Rudolph suit. His mom would make steamers. You'd have the whole big thing out at Long Meadow. Santa Claus coming in along. He'd come in a helicopter, a fire truck, you know, all this kind of stuff. And Christmas time was always so big at that time.
And you know, back then, I don't want to sound arrogant. I don't want to sound like, I don't want to offend anybody, but like I said on that post, he's like the tri-states.
He's a legend.
Yeah, because like back in those days, you went to the mall And
Yeah.
you yanked on the guy's beard that was held on with a rubber band and smacked it against his chin, he'd get mad at you.
You know, it was Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, you know,
or something.
like,
It was,
I mean, you didn't have these guys that when he walked in the house and he had the beard and he had the jingle bells and he was like, holy crap. That dude out the mall is fake, but this is the real one.
Yeah.
You know, this is the real one.
you know, I watched Bud do so many things over the years, with just different kids and stuff, and I guess I didn't realize it, but I was learning what to do, and I remember.
Now,
Yeah.
when did you? I don't want to jump ahead of you, but when did you think was your first thought of maybe wanting to try something like this?
I thought it was funny, and Bud would say, "I don't know who's going to be Santa, 'cause I'm not going to be here forever." And he said, "There ain't nobody else that wants to do it." And I would look at Randy, and Randy goes, "I ain't going to be around them kids." Randy goes, "I don't want."
I would see Bud and his wife at the arch.
Yep,
meetings,
always at the arch meetings.
And every time I seen him, he would say, "This is my last year."
Oh yeah, he said it up to us last
following
year.
"This is my last year," and then 2 more years later, "This is my last year."
But I think one time we were in the garage, and I would stop by the garage all the time. Even though I didn't live up in the West End anymore, I would still stop by and talk to Billy and Randy and everything. And I always called her Mom and Pap, you know. And I'd go in, and Bud would be like, "I don't know who's going to be Santa." And I'm like, I'll do it. Because I had a long beard, but it wasn't white. Kind of ironic. I know more about women's hair care products now and don't even have any hair on my head on how to turn it white and a purple shampoo.
It's amazing you grow a beard because you want to be lazy, but yet the care that it takes.
Well, you should have seen it the first time I sashayed myself into the women's beauty salon to ask about how I can get my beard white. I tried to walk in like John Wayne or something, you know,
Right.
to make it look good.
Here comes Sarah. Here comes that weirdo again.
But the very last year, Bud, no matter what, he was so worried about a kid's not having Santa. That's all he worried about.
Back when his health
started going bad,
getting
he was not worried about himself. He was worried about the kids. And
I'm sure the family. I know from my dad's health and my mom's health. My mom loves to teach the kids junior church.
Mhm.
She loves it, and you know, you get to the point where you're like, you don't want to be ignorant, but you get to the point you're like, you need to concentrate on your
Yes.
on your health.
Bud was worried about the kids.
You know, and my mom's like, yeah, but I gotta tell them kids about the Lord, and you know, I guess I'm sure his family looked at him and was like, Dad, you know,
They did.
we want you to be Santa, but you got to concentrate on
On your
Well,
health,
and,
yeah.
and,
Your
and
health.
some of the times, me and Katie will tell you, been up there and it's like, look, if you're going to do this, you got to go here, here, and here. You want to be Santa, that's fine, but you got to do these things for us first.
and it's a lot of running.
And I remember I was out. There's a picture that you posted up of me and Bud together, and he's handing me the toy bag. That was taken on a Tuesday night. That Saturday, he left us.
Wow.
And I remember being at the hospital Thursday night. And originally what I was going to do is if Bud was going to have a lot of stairs or a lot of walking or stuff, I was going to do them, and he was going to do the ones where he could just pull his car up, get out.
I remember
Yeah.
that. I remember you guys was doing.
And I tell you what, Bud told, come up here and get a suit. So I went up and walked in the house. He had a suit laying out there for me.
Oh, so you got one of his suits.
Well, no. I tried to put it on and I was overqualified. It didn't even.
Are you serious?
It didn't even touch in the middle. And but then he made sure he picked out what color I should have, things of that sort, and gave me 2 rules to always live by as a Santa, which is kind of odd. You would think there'd be a bunch, but he said, you know, you do it for the right reasons. But he said, first things first, I don't want to catch you in a mall. I don't want to catch you being a mall Santa and sliding that next kid to get to the next one. He said,
And I've heard that before from different people.
That was one of his big things, that he did not like the mall Santas. Not the Santas themselves, but not how the mall system was set up.
Because you're just a
It's
Yeah.
an assembly line.
you're.
He
assembly
said
line.
some kids need some more time, and I found some of those things out as I've started doing it. And the other thing he said, don't run into a room and start yelling ho, ho, ho. He said, if you are any kind of Santa and they don't know who you are, he said, you're not a very good Santa. He said, but you will scare some of those kids by coming in that loud.
All he would do is ring them bells a little bit.
He would ring them bells a little bit, and the kids would look over, and he said, you find the one that's shy and hiding behind somebody, and you wave at them a little bit, and he said, by the end of the night, they'll be on your lap. And you know, some of the things he did that I got to see that was really the true meaning of being Santa and doing Christmas stuff. Katie worked with the lady that was at the bank, and she was diagnosed with irreversible cancer. You know, her big wish was that her son would sit on Santa's lap. Her son would never sit on Santa's lap. Never got that picture. So Bud said, get him to write me a letter, get it up here to me. So this kid wrote a letter and put the stickers all over it, you know, so he'd know it was his. I take it up and give it to Mom, Doris. We go out to Long Meadow when he was out there. Katie gets the lady and her son and her husband to come out. And she comes out. All the kids leave. You know, there's nobody else there. And sure enough, Bud reaches down underneath this chair and he pulls this letter out with these stickers. And he's like, is this yours? And that little kid looked over, and at that moment, you saw his eyes.
Flipped him out.
And he says, well, come on over here. He said, I can't read this. And he's opening it up, and this kid comes over and stands beside him. And they're reading it, and after about 2 or 3 minutes, Bud just kind of reaches down and picks him up, slides him on his lap, and they're reading and everything. And I think that lady passed away, like, early the next year. But knowing that she got to see her kid sit on Bud's lap. That's the stuff Bud did that you don't hear about. That I got to witness and I got to see, and some of the things I've been able to do.
Well, I'm sure he didn't want to leave this world, but leave his family behind. But I can imagine that you taking the reins like that had to be a big weight off his shoulder, because whenever you care about something that much,
I hope it was. Now the great thing is his grandson's doing some of it now, Michael.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
Me and Michael were talking, and me and Michael actually moved stuff back and forth to try to, because here was our thing. We don't want to be haunted by the ghost of Christmas past and to be Bud hollering at us. So the most important
he'd have one more word of advice for you.
Oh, yeah. He'd probably have more than one. But the thing is, he wanted kids to have Santa. And if it takes me and Michael, both of us, to do it, then so be it. He's happy.
We should have had Michael come on the show. I didn't even think about that.
You know, we can do that later. We can do that another
I
time.
apologize, Michael, if you're listening, because I seen the pictures on Facebook, but it.
Maybe we'll do a Christmas
I was
show.
so amazed. I was so amazed when I seen him. I was like, "Holy crap! He looks good.
He looks like his pal.
Yeah, he looks good.
You know, he looks like
Shirley?
his pal.
Crystal Sprecher said he was very patient with kids. He was awesome. With that being said, I can remember when he would come to the Arch meetings, and he got very close. Him and Doris both got close to my oldest granddaughter, McKenna. And
What would they call
it was
her?
like McKenna and Bud would look for each other at the meetings.
Aw.
And he
Yeah, he
always would wrap his arm around her and give her a hug, and she'd give him a hug.
You know, one of the things I've been very fortunate, and I do the Arch meetings now with them. And but I was at a family get together that Bud had always done, and there was a couple teenage girls, 13, 14 years old. And it was first year after we lost Bud. And they were having a rough time. And we sat down and I said, you know what? I said, come on over here, man. Let's have a conversation. And we sat and we talked a little bit. I said, you know, you do realize that Bud's still Santa. That he got promoted. God needed another Santa at another place. And I said, it's okay. I said, he's still playing Santa. He's still looking down on them. And when we sat and we thought about it and talked about it with those girls, it was so much better. And I honestly believe he is still playing Santa. You know,
I can't imagine the pressure you feel on yourself to fill those shoes.
Well, I've told somebody else, I'll never, ever be able to fill those boots that he had. But I can walk in his footsteps a little bit and try to do the best I can.
It's just being Santa is intimidating, probably to start. I mean,
you know, though, Bud prepared me more than I think people realize, is because he told you, be yourself. Be yourself.
don't try to be
Don't
somebody
try
you're
to
not.
be anybody else. Relax. Let the kids talk. Let the kids. And I guess, I mean, I moved up there in '78. Until I started playing Santa was 45 years. So the story I tell the kids that I was in Santa College for 45 years and didn't
Santa
realize
College. You got anything else, Shirley? I don't want to ignore anybody.
No, there's
So,
nothing there.
But yeah, it's pretty neat that did that way.
Nothing there, Mike.
Oh,
Some
Michael
of the-
Carter.
Some of
I
the things.
gotta-
and
I gotta
I
congr-
said, hey.
I got to congratulate him.
Some of the
He
things.
Oh,
He picked-
Billy Klein. Dang, Chris, you made me tear up. Aw.
Billy's like, he always calls me Uncle Chris because, like I say, with being a family and everything. And actually, Billy he helps me out. Like he mounted the cars for me or the tires for me for Graham's car this weekend and stuff. And I had a demo car there. I said, here, you take his demo car and you run it. So we all still do stuff together and everything.
We had Bud out a couple times to do Christmas Eve with our family when our
Yeah,
kid
Dad
was
would
little.
Dad would get him. They get him on the schedule to come out to do our grandkids and all. But
Oh yeah, like Christmas Eve, I think I already got 6 or 7 places to go. It's pretty booked. I still have. If anybody does need a Santa, we still have stuff there.
he knows a guy.
I know a guy.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, Michael, I want to say congrats, buddy. That was a heck of a race. I was watching the live timing at the house, and it's awesome to see you get your first limited late model win. So congrats to you, buddy. I know it's hard. That's not an easy class to come
That's
into
what I
and win a
always
race.
do.
That's
Yeah,
a very
really.
competitive class.
That's a great
So
picture.
congrats to him and his family. Now, Chris, we got to ask you. We got to ask you. We couldn't do the show if we didn't ask you. Has anyone ever been rude to where you was like, I'm going to wring this little kid's neck?
Well, let's just
Because
say
nowadays there's more
there's
more media out there. There's more information out there, and you can have kids that are like I know a boy that
It was all the time.
I joke with him all the time.
Her and him all the time.
He's one of our
He would look
sponsors'
for her,
kids,
she'd look for him.
and
That's sweet.
his dad tells him he don't believe in Santa, and his dad says, "Don't ruin it for the." I tell him don't ruin it for our kids, but every time I see him, I say, "What'd Santa bring you this year?" There ain't no Santa.
Oh, I got driver's license and everything proves I'm Santa.
It's on Facebook.
Yes.
But and I get a chuckle out of him. But like his dad is like, don't ruin it for your sister, your kids.
You know, though, the Christmas spirit, that you can be 40 years old and still believe the Christmas spirit. So are there some kids out there that's a little different? Let's just say last year, twice, as people were putting kids on my lap, I've had my jingle bells rang.
Kicking and screaming.
All kicking and screaming.
And then you was kicking and screaming.
Well, no, I've kind of doubled over after that.
Santa got it in the jingle bells.
Yeah, Santa got his jingle bells rung, but didn't realize Santa was a full contact sport. There are, believe it or not, as much as we see in this day and age, and you were alluding to it at the first part of the show, you know, with the social medias and all this stuff. It is amazing how many kids and parents are on their best behavior when they see Santa.
Maybe it's the Christmas spirit too.
I think that might have something to do with it. I think
That when they see you, they go to a different place.
I think so. You know,
I'm that way. I don't. How do I say this without being ignorant? I don't care for Christmas as far as like. I hate Christmas as far as like. Surely worrying about what gifts to buy people and but once Christmas Eve gets
well,
here,
I can get you with the jingle bells and we'll whip Christmas into you.
but I look forward to Christmas Eve with my family,
With sitting down at the family.
and the grandkids opening the gifts up. That's what I really enjoy.
You know what I enjoyed last year now?
What is it, Shirley? Like the commercialized.
You don't
Right.
like the commercial.
We I went to a lot of homes last year on Christmas Eve. Visited quite a few of them. But what me and the wife did and the boys is I got home, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we went to a midnight Christmas Eve service with just us. Took my Santa stuff off, and I understand where you're getting at. There's like two totally different sections of it, and for us to sit together as a family in a candlelit church at midnight, with just all the Christmas rushing that I did from Thanksgiving on, running here, running there. Just that night sitting there, just.
Ain't it amazing how you don't worry about gifts?
Yep.
Gifts is the last thing. You don't want nothing. I tell my kids all the time, don't give me nothing. My daughter will get me like a bag, like a goodie bag. Might have some freaking milk duds in it or some gum or
It's
something.
funny because some of the smaller things I've got now, like the boy got me a mug for Father's Day 2 years ago, and it says, "Congratulations on being dad," and it had existence, and it had their birthdays on both of them. More, that coffee mug is with me every day.
I never understood my dad and my grandparents. Like, Dad would sit in that chair and be like, "Don't give me nothing. I don't want anything.
I just want to sit and watch."
And then now it's like, when you get older, not that you care that much about gifts.
It's amazing how much our parents learned when we got older, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Like, you are not concerned at all about gifts.
No.
It's amazing.
I want the second half of my life to not be about stuff, but to be about experiences and time.
Well, we can go as late as we need to go. I know we're
Michael
getting to the end of it.
Michael Carter says, thank you. He said, means a lot to my family. Davy Gross, hi, Chris and Katie, watching from Clinton
Man, we're
County
getting all the
Speedway.
winners on this week. We
Yeah,
had
well, Davey
we
helped
had
us out up there too.
we had
him-
Brandon on
Brandon
here.
was on.
Michael Carter. Now we got Davey on here.
Yeah.
Winning car owner. Man, but hopefully someone will rub off on us.
Santa brings out the best, baby.
But no, quick story. I know we're not talking about racing at this particular point, but my parents. I growed up helping Mrs. Santa Claus.
Mrs. Huffman.
Yes,
Yes.
Mrs. Huffman.
Haven Huffman.
Yep, because
And-
Bud would do the things for.
Yeah, and we would go there with a big box truck we borrowed from the Mennonite, and she would have that building full of all them toys that she collected, and she'd give us, my dad, a list, and we would go through the streets of Hagerstown, and I'm telling you what, you would walk into houses that had icicles hanging off the ceilings, 2 beds in the middle of the room, that's all it was there, and
Or
like,
a mattress on the floor.
I didn't realize it at the time, but like it was something that I should have been really like. I enjoyed helping my dad and everything,
Right.
but I mean, you don't take all that.
You
stuff
didn't get the
in.
gravity of the situation
Yeah.
that you were in.
And I mean, you wouldn't believe it. 99.9% was just unbelievably grateful.
Oh yeah.
And then, not to be negative, but you had the few that would be like, their kids is sitting in the living room, and you'd be like, don't you want to, take your kids and make them go to the bedroom or something? Nah, just bring stuff in. And it's like, and you're like, wow, I would want to bring the stuff in. Most of them was like, let me get my kids to their bedroom before you bring this stuff in, because they want
Right.
to surprise them.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever way they want to do it didn't bother me one way or the other. I'm just saying it was like some people just was a little bit.
And when you talk about it not being about the gifts, I had a young lady last year come to me. I was at a place of business doing this, a Santa thing, and I look over and there's a girl probably, 10, 12 years old, and her mom's with her, and they're both crying. They're both in tears. And I get them to come over when I'm there, and I'm like, what's going on? What's up? And the little girl had lost her grandfather. And she's like, I just want to talk to my pappy. And Bud did these things, and I didn't realize when I was watching it what I was learning.
And Katie looked at Chris and said, I want to see you pull this one out.
But I looked at the girl and I said, honey, I said, I as Santa, you don't make any promises. I said, honey, I said, I can't bring your pap back. I said, but I tell you what I can do. You write me that letter, and I'll get it delivered for you. And this little girl wrote a letter, and I took it, and I did not read it, because that was between her and her pap. That did not have anything to do with me. And I put up a picture on my Facebook page that I have for Santa Claus. And I said, I got to deliver this letter. And the little girl come back and later on, I said, yeah, I said, delivered that. I said, God made sure your pap got it and everything. And if you would have seen the difference on this girl's face, the relief she had, I said, your pap's proud of you. He's tickled to watch you, and just know that, he's always watching over you. And this little girl got the biggest smile on her face. The day Bud left us, Wilson's Country Store, I found out that Michael called me, and he said, hey, just happened. I'm in the shower, and Katie hears me turn the shower off, and she comes in, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, Bud just passed away. And she's like, well, you know what you got to do? And I'm like, yeah, what do I do now? She said, you better get your boots on and get moving. And I went up to Wilson's Country Store, and I remember being there, and the very first girl to come in, this little blonde-headed girl walks in. She turns over and looks at me and comes over and just gives me this biggest hug and goes away. And I'm like, you don't know how much Santa needed that right now.
Like it was a sign.
Like it was a sign. And the funny thing is nobody else up there knew. And then the call came in a couple hours later that they found out up there, and they're like, now I understand what you was talking about. But those little things, you say it's not about the gifts, and it's not a lot of it. To see the relief of some people, you can do it. And just a kind word, And Bud had that. Bud had that for 57 years.
That deep voice.
Yes.
Well, Chris, you come in to, and Bud also, but I mean, you come into people's lives, you don't know what they're going through right now with times being tough. I mean, you don't know that woman or man could be driving their kids all the way to wherever you're going to be at to meet you, thinking of, I'm not going to have anything to give my kids for Christmas. What am I going to give them for Christmas? And you may be the gift.
Yes.
That helps this person out, helps this person stop beating themselves up, helps them think more about being with their family than, not having the money to go to the store and get gifts and everything.
But that's the gift Bud gave us. Me and Michael, like I say, I've watched Michael do it. And the very first year, Michael told me, he goes,
he's pretty quiet.
Michael's a quiet. He's not as outgoing as I am.
So for him to
probably.
be Santa, that's a big.
But Michael even told me, he said, thank you for doing it that first year. He said, because I couldn't. And he even was really very reluctant about doing it last year. And I'm like, you got to, Michael. You got to do it for Pat. And his better half also was kind of encouraging him. And we kind of shoved him out there. And he did great.
I know it ain't all bad, Chris. I mean, there's a picture on the On Track of my Facebook page of you on your bike with Miss Marilyn behind you.
Well, yeah, that was a good thing,
So I mean, being Santa has its perks.
Being Santa has its perks. Yes, it does.
I just can't imagine just all the people that. I mean, I see all them people in there, the old military veterans that you take the time to go visit and shake their hands and get pictures with them, and that's a whole nother side of things that.
Do you imagine how many times you think Bud had his picture taken?
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Think about
Millions,
that. Can you imagine how many people
for 57 years?
For 57 years have had their picture with
Bud.
Bud.
At least 500,000.
Well, you got to think about it, like you was saying. You had people bring their kids in to see Bud.
Bring their grandkids.
And then they come in later with their grandkids.
Yeah.
And took those pictures.
That's us.
It's
3 generations.
It's amazing.
57 years, that's 3 generations potentially, yeah.
Especially if you was there his first year.
Yep.
Then your kid could be 30 years old or so,
Well, and part of society today, there's a lot of younger people are having kids a lot younger. So, therefore you're condensing those generations together a lot. But yeah, just imagine the people.
Nope.
Okay, good. Everybody's listening and tuning in. I mean, it's just amazing. I can't imagine doing it. I don't know if it's something I could do. I mean, I'm definitely fat enough, I think, but Shirley's got the beard in the
I don't
family.
know what you'd do about this. No hair on your head.
Well, Santa ain't got a whole lot, That's why you keep a hat around.
Yeah. I got a humbug hat.
But no, so yeah, maybe we'll do that in December. If everyone would like that's out there and they want to do a December show, maybe we'll do a December with me and Michael both here. And
yeah, I mean,
because Michael raced, he raced.
He raced 4-cylinders.
Yep.
I raced with him up Shippensburg. Cody did, I think, at Shippensburg.
And then
his boys ran.
Quarter midgets and stuff. So, and Bud's been in the race. I don't know how many cars
Klines.
Klein's Auto Body is on still when you go up to that track.
I just remember. See, I don't think I really knew, even though I went to Western Heights, I don't think I really knew much until high school. And then I started seeing the Klines racing, and my neighbor had a car, and I went to the track.
Now, was that Mick Creek?
Yeah, to
Yep.
watch them run, but I didn't really know.
That was number 45, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, you got good memory.
Santa remembers, you know. It's kinda-
Yeah, he remembers. But
If it comes to cars or race, then he's your guy.
but you know one little thing that you said that made me think about my dad, and I don't mean to talk about him a lot, but he's my dad. But
He's a great guy. It's
yeah,
okay.
But he did stuff for church. He did he had Smiley, Mr. Quizzo. He was a clown. Like we was cleaning the house out. We ran into a pair of his clown shoes that he had. He spray bombed shoes, you know, to do.
You
and
know
like-
how many? I remember me and Katie. We moved not far from where your mom and dad live. We're up off Rush Road area, and when we were first out there, we're coming up, and I pull up on Broad Fording Road at 63, and look over, and I wave, and she goes, "Who you waving at?" And it was your dad down mowing that intersection so people could see.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
you
would
do
go
that.
down.
He used to
and
take his tractor down
He
there.
would take that Ford tractor down,
Yeah.
and he would mow that.
That was
intersection.
years ago.
Yes.
Now Mike Eby does it, but yeah,
But your dad.
He would
That's
do
the
that.
stuff your dad would do.
he would.
Just to make it safe for people
Just to make
get
it
out that
safe
road.
for everybody to
I know.
pull out on.
I know this
63.
ain't about my dad, but it just going back to things I remember. I remember when I was a young kid, like we knew all our neighbors down the road. I
Mhm.
knew all their names. I could stop at any house on my bicycle and say hi to them. And Dad would get on that tractor, and he would plow everybody's driveway. He'd be going for hours.
Yep.
And you didn't have to worry about somebody saying, you scrape my grass up with your blade. You push snow into
You
my
hit my rhododendron or
yeah,
something, you know.
and back then
They were just thankful that
everybody was thankful.
driveway.
Yep.
and now it's like you don't know who half your neighbors are, but just stuff like that. I mean, my dad, he wasn't Santa, but my dad would every year they had a hayride back at church.
You say he's not Santa, but that Santa spirit comes out of a lot of people.
And he would drive the truck, you know. And back then they had the old hand chokes on them, so we'd be riding on the back roads real slow.
Pow.
He'd pull the choke out to get it to pow, and I think he did that. End up blowing a muffler off one of them. but yeah, just stuff that
You know, the stuff Bud used to do. I remember him having stuff to take to Holly Place, stuff to take to Mrs. Huffman. We had some block parties up there to raise money for Mrs. Huffman, and doing things of that sort. The things I got to see.
and my mom too. I mean, I can't.
Oh yeah, your mom.
They when I was younger, they did all this stuff, and I helped them, or I seen them doing it, and didn't think nothing of
No.
it. Didn't think nothing of it. When Dad dressed up like a clown at church, didn't think nothing of it. He had a puppet named Smiley that Mom would teach, and he would be over there like instigating, making fun of her, and making jokes. He'd get in a joke book, make jokes. Like to me, he was just my dad.
Right.
But like I had people come up to me at his funeral going, I remember sitting in junior church and Smiley the puppet. And he had Mr. Quizzo. He put one of them big pair of glasses on, and he had one of them fake dog leashes. It was like starch.
Right.
And he'd come out, how you all doing today? You know, in a different voice, and he'd have his dog. He'd be pulling back that didn't exist, and the kids would just.
Yeah.
And people come up to me at the funeral like, I remember when I was 8 years old in junior church class, and your mom was teaching us, and your dad would come out of the woodwork dressed like a clown, you know, and he'd be over there doing stuff, and your mother would, you know, sash him because he's messing up the
Right.
the teaching, you know, and people remembered that.
Yeah, some of the stories I hear, you know, of things that Bud said and did and everything. And like I say, I grew up with a family, and I can remember.
Imagine stuff the Klines, people tell the Klines,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
like walk into a Sheets and, you know.
Well, they still see Mom, and they're like, Mrs. Santa, how, you know, and talking to them, you know, with different stuff. And I can remember, you know, we talk about things we did, and I can remember we had a saw there the one time that was shorted out. Bud went to grab that thing and go into the garage and cut something, and me and Randy and Billy stood outside like, what, yes? And that thing shorted across the thing it went. You know, so we got to see Santa on a different level.
That was spiked beard Santa. it was spiked, had spikes on it, you know, whenever
but yeah, you know, the stories, and like I say, I will never be able to come close to the lives that he touched. And you know, your dad with the stuff that he did with the lives they touched, that we're not going to be able to hold a candle to him.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said before, like Dad did this stuff, and I didn't think nothing of it.
No.
To me, it was just something that he did.
I didn't realize I was in Santa College.
You know, and it's things that they did that you know, that I've seen my parents do, that you've seen Bud do.
Mm-hmm.
That now Bud was being Santa Claus, which that's a little bit different, but like it just I never thought twice about it.
I could watch him go from Bud Klines to Santa Claus in a split second, because it didn't matter if it was middle. I can remember being down at Ocean City and watching a kid come out of a store crying because he didn't get what he wanted, and there sat Bud with his red sweatpants and everything on. You know, come here a minute, son. And that little kid, and he's like, I had to come all the way down here just to talk to you.
No way.
And the mother's like, can I borrow you for about 15, 20 minutes? And this little kid going down the boardwalk looking back, you know, holding on to his mom the whole time because Santa was at the beach.
And Randy was probably like, come on, Dad, we're hungry. Come on. Quit talking to kids and come on.
But he would never, if a kid wanted to talk, he would never not stop and talk to him.
Yeah, it was definitely, I'm glad you guys are trying to carry on the tradition.
We're doing the best we can. Like I say, no one will ever touch him, but I think he would be happy with what we're doing and making sure that people still have Santa.
Yeah, I mean, he was larger than life.
He was.
Not, like I say, back then there was no Santas that looked and acted like, I mean, that I knew of.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, like I say, I'm not trying to be rude, but most of them had, you know, they didn't have no dollar store back then, but most of them had cheap outfits and, you know, they just, hey, we're doing this job.
Smell like beer and cheap cigarettes, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. But anyways, well, anything else you guys want to talk about here? We done went over, but that's okay. We don't have nobody coming in after us, but I want to give you time to thank anybody you want to thank, say anything you want to say. I mean.
Well, like I say, I do want to thank, you know, the Klein family for all the stuff they did and allowing me to be Santa. That really means a lot to me, and I make sure I try to keep that up. Me and Michael, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that kids have Santa. And then for the people that helping us out with our race car and stuff and everything, it's really fun. We, like you say, we did get to run the Crown Vics, and we hope to do it some more. And I thank Lisa and the Hagerstown Speedway for having us up there. They got us 2 more times this year. And hopefully we can make a division out of it. Had 16 cars show up. I mean, it wasn't a bad little.
And the Crown Vic Northeast organization, I've had them on the show.
Yeah, they're nice.
They want to be in Hagerstown Speedway. They want to race. And I know it's hard because they run Bedford and they run, I forget, there's another track they run. So you got to watch Friday night's Bedford, so you don't really have to worry about that. But you got to watch you don't override the Saturday track.
Yeah, the gentleman came over and spoke with me from the Crown Vic class and everything, and he gave me some pointers. Hey, do this and I'll help you out and do that. So they seem very...
And they're trying to build all the cars the same. They're trying to keep everything on a level playing field.
Well, yeah, you can put a car in for a little bit of nothing.
Yeah,
it's the cheapest way you're going to get into racing.
Yeah, they was roll cage and stuff is different, but
they gave me a price, and then I just heard through the grapevine that the car that Booz has built, the B2 car, that he supposedly took it up there and had them put a cage on it because he was busy with their work.
Right.
And the guy had the Crown Vic Northeast thing was telling me you could get a turnkey car for like $3,500.
Yeah.
And they said that Brian had about, I hope he don't mind me telling everybody, but they said he had about $3,500 in that car, just getting the cage put in it. And
I would say we're pretty close with cage. And
that guy tells you what to remove, how to remove it.
Yeah, he came down and gave us some pointers. He's like, guys, take this out, this out, and this out. That'll help you with weight. So, I mean, he wasn't there to say, oh, I'm just checking. He came down and was, you know, telling you what to do to help you out to make it quicker.
Yeah.
And like for Graham, I think it was kind of good. We started 15th, and he finished 8th. He was running 7th, and the guy got a little overzealous and got him, but I think we got a couple other people, so it was all good fun.
I was talking to a couple people, and they was like, that was the next best thing to an enduro race. Like, people was really enjoying it.
And nobody just like took off and checked out. I think it's definitely.
No, they're very competitive.
I think it's a highly momentum.
It's a stock car.
Yeah, whoever gets the momentum, especially at Hagerstown.
Yes.
Whoever gets momentum through the corner.
And you notice when someone slipped up, boy, there was a couple cars. I mean, they were like little hornets right on them, So it was.
I think it's a really good class, and we need an entry level class.
We do.
Really do.
But when we got back into racing, we didn't. It didn't cost us, $10,000-$20,000 to get a car put together. And I hope in this Crown Vic class, like I say, it seems pretty good, and I'd love to see it continue. And I think it's a class you can build on because it's a good starter class.
Yeah, it was an X-drag car.
Yep.
That's why I had trouble going around the bends.
It didn't run out of turn left.
It didn't want to turn. Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hopefully, I know it was a little different show. We still had a ex-racer on the show. We still talked about his driving career. We just went to further down the road here to him trying to fulfill the duties of being Santa. And I thought that was really good. I think it was a great show.
Santa was big into racing too when.
Yeah. So, hopefully we're having another great show. Hey, you know what? We gave him over 90 minutes of sitting in the AC listening to the radio. So,
there you go.
You didn't have to go out and mow grass or anything. But thank you, Chris. Thank you, Katie, for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Congrats
having
to
me.
your son, Graham, for getting his first. I know he's a quarter midget racer, but he got his first laps in a full-size car. And thanks to my wife. And hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. And, we can do different shows like this. We're still going to be in the racing, but we're going to get racers that, have good stories behind them. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to Todd Ward, TA Ward Construction. I know I had results and schedules, and I didn't get a chance to get to them. I apologize for that. Like I said, I do know Path Valley is having Todd Ward's having 500 for the 270s, and a couple big shows this weekend, a couple fan appreciation shows. I have quite a few, probably 15 different racetracks here running this weekend. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to WRGG 93.7 FM. Everybody have a great evening and hope to see you next Tuesday.